Unsponsored race cars deserve some love too. Here is JJ Yeley's number 54, Rick Ware Racing Ford Mustang. Howdy folks, it is Diecastbuffet here again, back with another custom diecast review. And today's car is going to be JJ Yeley's. Yeah, JJ Yeley's 2020 Ford Mustang. Now this car, of course, got a little bit of the glue, got to push back into the car. We're starting this review off with a bang. This car is, I wouldn't say it's old school, but I'll kind of go through the building process and why this is one of my old school techniques. This is a car for the NASCAR Diecast Cup Series. I needed some extra filler drivers, and Rick Ware Racing is joining the Diecast Cup Series. And I figured let's go ahead and do the JJ Yeley Mustang. It's not entirely accurate to the one he rented at Daytona. I'll get into that later. But huge shout out to Boom, my unofficial Buffet Racing South designer. I tell you what, man, this guy is unbelievable at making these custom templates. He hooked me up with this template and was able to help me get this build going. But this is a car that it's simple. It's simple. It didn't take too much, but I tell you what, man, simplicity sometimes is the best. So over here on the hood, we got a whole lot to talk about here. I mean, holy cow, look at all those sponsors. You got Ford here. And when I mention old school building technique, this is what I mean. Okay, so this car, like I said, it's a car that was supposed to be it's going to be a back marker in the Diecast Cup Series, right? I needed some filler die casts for the Diecast Cup Series. Rick Ware Racing and Spire Motorsports are going to be joining the NDCS competition. They're just going to be plain Jane unsponsored cars, like their real-life counterpart. This car, ironically enough, was built on paper. Look at that's actual computer paper right there. That's computer paper. You might be thinking, well, why Diecastbuffet? Why are you using this? One, it's a colored race car. I don't have the decal quality technology to be able to build colored race cars because whenever I print out black, it actually turns out brown. And for me to special order the decals, it would cost me probably $10. So I'd rather just use a cheap, computer paper to get a filler die cast like this. And, who knows, maybe down the road make a proper sponsored version of one of these cars. So anyways, you got a blank hood here. This is an unsponsored car. You got Ford, you got Mustang, you got Rick Ware Racing, and of course you got the number 54 here. Very sleek, just a standard, Ford Mustang. That's what it's supposed to be. I go over here to the left side of the car, and you might be thinking, okay, well, it's a JJ Yeley Mustang. Didn't he have orange wheels? Yes, he did. I tried to replicate the orange wheels. I don't have it. It would probably take a chrome orange style of paint. I don't have that, and quite honestly, I really don't want to go buy that. Plus, I noticed that the outline of the numbers was red. The red, in my opinion, looks pretty good. I mean, it matches it. I know the quality of the decals is nowhere near what I usually use, but this is a cheap custom. Like literally, this was an old Stenhouse car. Believe it or not, when I made that Ryan Blaney Mustang, the Monster Energy car I made last May, I had an extra Stenhouse Mustang I was saving for a new custom. Well, sure enough, a year later, I actually built it. I had two Stenhouse Mustangs from 2019. I made 2 of these Rick Ware Racing cars. I'm still working on the other one, which is going to be a BJ McLeod 52. This is the JJ Yeley car. I just took a Stenhouse Mustang, cheap, flat black paint job, a cheap matte finish. That's what it is. There's no sense in me paying $10 for a decal sheet for a cheap car that it's just going to be a back marker. You know what I'm saying? It just works, right? So you got the red wheels. I think that looks better with the 54 than me just using a bland orange. If I could get the, chrome orange effect, I would do that. You got NASCAR race car. You got NASCAR Cup Series. You got Goodyear. Goodyear Eagle. You got JJ Yeley. Nothing on the B post. There was no decals for all this stuff. It was just a plain Jane race car. You got American Ethanol over here on the back end. And I go over here to the caboose of the diecast, and I tell you what, it's incredible to think that, of course, you got a honeycomb down here, but it's incredible to think that I used to build all my customs with this type of decal technology, and it's crazy. But you know, it's a little weird going back to it, but this is not permanent. This is just literally for these underfunded cars, because it allows me to make more stuff. It's easy, and most importantly, it's cheaper. You got GT, you got made in Michigan Ford license plate. You got the number 54 there, all black on the back end. Just a very satin matte-esque paint job. You know, I can't do true matte because the paint will chip and the decals, you know, won't be protected. They'll just slide off, right? You have to put some sort of clear coat, and regardless of it, it's gonna always have some sort of shine. You might as well go with like a matte satin look, and you know, I don't think it looks too bad. And then you go over here to the right side of the car. I mean, this is, you know, unsponsored, you know, just an underfunded car. It's gonna be running in the Duralize Cup Series. I don't know which race. I'm assuming Bristol. This car is gonna first hit the track for Season 2. Season 3 did get announced. That'll be coming August 2nd for the 2020 Daytona 500. But this car is going to most likely be on track for the Mountain Dew Zero Sugar 500, the Bristol Night Race, April 26th on Diecastbuffet. It's going to be, race 12 out of 14. So we got 3 races left, a dead heat in the points. Going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to check that out. But the car, you know, it's just a very satin matte finish, very sleek. You know, I used the same technique I used on that Martin Truex Jr. Homestead Final Ride and for Furniture Row Racing. I used a matte black. I used you know, paper decals, and I was able to come up with that. And I used that same strategy, and I think it looked a lot worse, honestly, before the clear coat. Sure, there's a little bit of the black paint kind of eating into where the paper is, and that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. You know, it's not going to be perfect. It's a custom. And you go over here to the roof of the car, and this was really tricky. One thing I might point out here is that these numbers, I had to cut out all around them as sharp as I could. You can imagine trying to cut out where that 5 wraps around, that little spot there, or right there between the 5 and the 4, with a big pair of bulky scissors. That's a trick right there. Going over to the roof, you can see the little cut marks. I had to cut out all around this decal, because if I didn't, it's gonna look a lot worse. I tried to make it as sharp as I possibly could. It's very hard to do. It's much easier to, you know, to cut like computer paper compared to a decal sheet, but it is still extremely hard to do. And also the decal is a little bit thicker. I tried to get the clear coat. I'm serious. I probably used half a can of clear coat, trying to get this thing as thick as possible to protect the decals and keep it as flush as possible. But when you use a computer paper, the decals are going to be so much more thick than your normal water slides, and it's hard to get a very flush clear coat. It really is. So I did what I could. You know, I did what I could. I still think it looks pretty good. And over here on the deck lid, it's completely blank. This car wasn't doing me any good anyways. Literally, we just sitting in a drawer. You know, I had one of these cars designated for a custom. You know, that's what I do. The cars that I don't really want or collect, I turn into customs, and I do different things with it, you know. I repurpose them. That's what I do. It's like on my COTs. I buy chipped up cars that no one wants. I strip them. I make customs out of them. That's what I do. It's fun, you know. Some people drink, some people smoke. I ain't about that life. I like building race cars. But let me know what y'all think about this 2019, 2020. Oh, it's a 2020 JJ YELEY Ford Mustang for Rick Ware Racing. Now, of course, this is not 1000% accurate, but I tell you what, man, I'm happy with it. Now, at the end of the day, that's kind of the only thing that really matters. Is if you're happy with the product you made. Let me know what y'all think down below. Make sure to give the video a big thumbs up. I appreciate it. I spend hours and hours, and sometimes entirely, I didn't spend, you know, weeks building some of these cars, you know, entire off days dedicated to making custom diecast. So I would very much appreciate that. Like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and check me out on Instagram at Diecastbuffet. I appreciate all the love and support. Hope you're having a great one. The next Duralize Cup race, and you can see this car on track April 26th, the Mountain Dew Zero Sugar 500, the Bristol Night Race, live on Diecastbuffet. Anyways, folks, hope you're having a great one. Diecastbuffet, signing off.